although we know him. So just for my own purification, I would like to briefly introduce Prabhuji. Prabhuji joined ISKCON 18 years back as a brahmachari. For 12 years, he did services in the temple. He is heading the outreach operations in Melbourne, member of Board of Education and Shastrik teacher. He is speaker at universities and MNCs. Prabhuji, material qualification, he holds master's degree and PhD in wireless communication from University of Melbourne. Also worked in MNCs and stayed in academia. So let us welcome Prabhuji by lovingly, loudly chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare.
Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Prabhuji, actually devotees from Balram Desh were also supposed to join because there is an initiation ceremony going on, by His Holiness Japataka Swami Maharaj. So many of them could not join today. So mostly Avadari Desh devotees only.
Prabhu, can I also record this?
Yeah, we'll record, Prabhuji.
Yeah, if you make me a co-host, I can also do it recording here.
I will do that. Yes, done, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you. So, do a short Jai Radha Mother?
Yeah, yes.
Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Yashoda Nandana Jaya Vrajana Ranjana Jaya Yashoda Nandana Jaya Vrajana Ranjana Jaya Yamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Yashoda Nandana Jaya Vrajana Ranjana Jaya Yamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada, Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Prabhupada Stottra Sadasri Srimati Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Rashila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Prabhupada Stottra Sadasri Srimati Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Kori Vaishnavanda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। भूधैर्महद्यै महापुरो विभु निर्मायशेते यदमूष पुरुष भुङ्क्ते गुणान् षोडश षोडशात्मक सोऽलङ्कृशिष्ट भगवान् वचांसि मे। हरे कृष्णा। Hare Krishna.
Hare
Shall I
Krishna.
start, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, please.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Today we have a very important topic to consider from Srimad Bhagavatam, which I called the sweet pastimes of Krishna and a grave mistake. From this, pretty much everyone can understand where am I heading to. In explaining this particular chapter from Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a very important tagline attached to this chapter, because this is the chapter in which Srila Prabhupada gave his final purports. From this, we can understand the significance of this chapter. Because Srila Prabhupada was a pure devotee, and he was always afraid that he may leave this world without providing a complete commentary to the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam coming from the Parampara. So he rushed into Krishna book even before completing Srimad Bhagavatam to make sure that there is a bona fide commentary to Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, which can easily be misinterpreted and misrepresented. So today we will be looking at this particular chapter, which is the 13th chapter of 10th canto. And this pastime and the following prayers are very much important, especially in this auspicious month of Purushottam. In fact, Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, this pastime helps us to clear ourselves from the seventh obstacle on the path of perfection, that is, getting into non-devotional literatures and going into other literatures where our sole attention to Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita and other bhakti scriptures could be lost. And this actually helps us to cut through the atheistic mentality. We may say, I am a devotee, I am chanting 16 rounds, I am wearing devotional clothes, I have a devotional name. Do I have any atheistic mentality? Okay, that is something to think. And it's a very important learning point even from this pastime. So this pastime really helps us to even to fine-tune our consciousness to remove the atheistic tendencies that may have in our consciousness. Not necessarily grossly, but at least subtly. And also this helps us to establish the supremacy of Krishna above all the demigods and above all his expansion. So in that way, Srila Prabhupada left us with these purports, which are very profound, which are very long, and at the same time, without compromising the tattva, the finer philosophical points, which is to establish Krishna's supremacy in comparison to all the demigods as well as all other expansions and incarnations. So this pastime and this chapter starts with a very interesting verses, that to the first three verses, where it is mentioned the qualification of Maharaj Parikshit to hear the pastimes of Krishna. So we are embarking on a journey where we want to hear the pastime of Lord Krishna, very intimate, sweet pastime. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, before narrating the pastime, Srila Shukadev Goswami glorifies Parikshit Maharaj for his elevated qualification to listen Srimad Bhagavatam, and that itself is very wonderful, because he says that he can experience, taste in Krishna Katha every moment, a newer and newer experience of Krishna Katha in every moment. So it's meant pradikshanam navyavat achyutasya, pradikshanam, each and every moment. Achyutasya Katha, Krishna's Katha, it is like pradikshanam navyavat, as if it is newer and newer. It's not like when we chant Hare Krishna, it's the same mantra. There is no excitement. In our conditioned state, we may feel, however, it's the same mantra, it's the same round, so I may somehow or other completing my 16 rounds. And if we hear the pastime, is it the same pastime? Do we have anything new? It's like one of my friends, we were coming to Krishna consciousness. That time, this boy was asking, look, I have a lot of problems with my mind. It's giving me a lot of trouble. So is there any solution other than chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra? So this is, we might not ask this question again and again, but to some degree in our mind it is there. It's again the same mantra. Oh, still I have to chant. Still 5 more rounds to go. Still 16 more rounds to go. So this is exactly the opposite mentality of Maharaj Parikshit, where it is mentioned, Pradikshanam Navyavad. So this is a very important point for us to understand how every moment he was relishing newer and newer taste in hearing Krishna's pastime. And apart from that, Maharaj Parikshit had another very important quality, that is, he was a submissive disciple of his spiritual master. So it is Bhagavatam says, so he had the capacity, he had the qualification to hear the confidential leelas of Krishna, because he was a submissive disciple of his spiritual master. This comes to a very important point, that we know if our spiritual master is coming to our place, you know our reactions, right? Especially when we have a congregation of very enthusiastic, energetic devotees, everyone wants to do some service. Give me one service. There will be each and every person, if Maharaj is coming to give each and every item to Maharaj, there will be one person and there will be a fight for that. No, Prabhu, it's my turn, or Mataji, it's my turn. Please allow me. For each shoes, we will have one person. To give cloth, each sabji, if somebody is cooking, for each and every item, we will compete. So certainly this is a sign of submissiveness, but the real sign of submissiveness comes when Maharaj leaves. He's not in our place, he's going somewhere else. Then we understand how submissive we are unto the instructions given by our spiritual master. So that is the real test. So now nobody's telling. Maharaj has told everyone, okay, chant attentively, cooperate, preach. So all this instruction, how are we following in his absence? So that becomes a real test for any disciple. So now here we can see that Maharaj Parikshit is completely equipped with Vaishnava quality and the qualification of a disciple as being submissive. That he shows even at the end of Srimad Bhagavatam in the 12th canto. Because finally Maharaj Parikshit asks, Shukadeva Goswami asked Maharaj Parikshit, do you have any more questions? So Maharaj Parikshit replies, no, I don't have any more questions. Everything is clear. And immediately Shukadeva Goswami, he gets up and he walks off. He doesn't even look at his disciple. He doesn't even leave for that glorious departure of his own disciple, who is a Paramahamsa himself. So at that point, Maharaj Parikshit, he was completely absorbed in Krishna as he was before. So he demonstrated throughout his exalted quality as a Vaishnava and as a disciple. Now, here, this pastime is starting on this note. Krishna had already killed Aghasur and had already protected all the cowherd boys. Indeed, there we can see the acts of Yogamaya, because even Krishna wondered when these cowherd boys, the Gopas, entered into the mouth of Agha. He was thinking, why are they going? I really don't want them to go inside the mouth of Aghasur. Still, the boys went inside. And then Krishna had to think, how am I going to protect these boys and at the same time kill the demon? Indeed, Krishna did that with one stroke of his action, because he entered and expanded. And in that way, he killed the demon. He gave him Sayujya Mukti to start with, and later Sarupya. At the same time, he protected all the cowherd boys. They were unaffected by the whole incident. Now, Krishna brought all the cowherd boys from that scene to the bank of Yamuna. He said, this is indeed a beautiful place on the bank of Yamuna. It's extremely beautiful. It's a very pleasing atmosphere. There are beautiful lotus flowers. They're attracting birds and they have beautiful aroma. There are humming and chirping bees and birds echoing throughout the beautiful trees and the forest. So it's a really beautiful place, and the grass is very soft and tender, and also the sand is also very soft. So we can have a spot here, and at the same time the cows, they can drink waters from the Yamuna and they can graze in the forest of Vrindavan. So in that way, Krishna said, let's be here. Let's have our lunchtime picnic here on this bank of Yamuna. All the cowherd boys were very happy. They all went there. They all sat there. And they thought, okay, now let's have our lunch. So this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is demonstrating his sweet pastimes, who is demonstrating his madhurya, his sweetness apart from his greatness. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, first 9 cantos are meant to implant within our heart the greatness of Krishna. So after understanding greatness of Krishna, one can start the 10th canto where the sweetness is presented. Why? Because unless and until we accept the greatness of Krishna, we cannot accept ourselves as servant of Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada mentioned that one has to be God conscious, one has to be Krishna conscious, or Krishna realized before entering 10th canto. So the essential message is that one need to understand one is a servant of Krishna and one has to be fixed in that consciousness. Many times Srila Prabhupada was asked this question, what is the meaning of my initiated name, my Diksha name, what's the meaning? So initial days, many devotees, they were lined up and asking, Prabhupada, what's the meaning of my name? Another devotee, what's the meaning of my name? So in that way, devotees were questioning Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, it's enough. If you understand the meaning of last part of your name, that will do. Either Dasa or Dasi. If you understand the meaning of that, then everything is done. So this is the point. So first 9 canto is actually to give us the realization that we are Dasa or Dasi. So the more we realize that, then we can approach the 10th canto. So without accepting greatness of Krishna, one cannot enter into the sweetness of Krishna. That is the reason, if you go to India, if you go to non-devotees, they all take Krishna casually. They take 10th canto as some sentimental stories, like cinematic stories, music, etc. Why? Because they haven't accepted the greatness of Krishna. So as devotees, first step is to accept the greatness of Krishna. And here in this pastime, we will see that Brahma will also make the same mistake, just like millions of people in India, how they make the mistake every day. So we can see there is a real connection between what is going on at this point in this world without understanding Krishna and speculating about him and what happened thousands of years back. With respect to the Western philosophers and Western ontologists, Krishna is none other than a forest love god. That is their definition of Krishna. A forest love god. That's all. Can you see? So everyone has this sentimentality towards Krishna without understanding his greatness. A reflection of that today we will see again. So now Krishna is starting his pastime. All the cowherd boys, they brought their lunches. They are sharing their lunch boxes. Everyone is feeding Krishna and Krishna is partaking in prasadam with everyone. Meanwhile, they let the calves go to drink water and graze in the green grass of Vrindavan. So they were having a very good time. And it is mentioned how they were sitting. It was so wonderful how they were sitting along in a circular form. So it's mentioned, Krishnasya Vikshya Puriraji Mandalayar. Puriraji Mandalayar. Puriraji Mandalayar means it's a circle, it's encircling. Krishna is in the center and everyone is circling Krishna. So it is a very beautiful scene. So Bhagavatam says in the 8th verse, Krishnasya Vikshya Puriraji Mandalayar Abhyana Pulladrisho Vrajarbhaga Sahobavishta Vipine Virejisu Chadaya Dhamboruhagarnikaya. So this is very interesting. Just like there is this a lotus flower and there is the middle, there is the whole of the lotus flower, and the middle Krishna is sitting and everyone else is surrounding Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada, in his wonderful purports, make the point that for a pure devotee, in the lotus of the heart, Krishna is always sitting. Premanjana churida bhakti vilochanena sandasa sadeva hudeshu vilokyanti. So Prabhupada takes it to the next level. How for a pure devotee, in the lotus of his heart, Krishna is residing. And then he brings it to our life. The whole purpose of Krishna consciousness movement is to bring Krishna to the center of our life. It can be our house. So here our temple president Aniruddha Prabhu, he used to make an interesting point that many times devotees ask, or upcoming devotees, they ask, where shall we have our altar in our home? It's a good question, right? So generally, natural tendency is for us, okay, we want to look into Vastu, or if you are from Indian background, generally look into some Vastu or direction or etc. He used to say that now you are becoming a devotee and you check in your living room or whichever room where you have your TV screen, your tele screen. Well, that is the most important place, because in the whole house, everyone wants to watch the television screen. So remove that and place the altar there. That will be the perfect spot for the altar. So similarly, the whole purpose of Krishna consciousness movement is center of everything. We need Krishna. So Krishna, surrounded by his cowherd boyfriends, Gopas, demonstrate this principle that Krishna has to be in the center of everything. Then, as the Lord was sitting with everyone, his Sarva Sankalpa Shakti started acting. Sarva Sankalpa Shakti means he can do whatever he wants, whatever he desires becomes a reality. So what happened? All the cowherd boys they started thinking that Krishna is sitting next to me and he's accepting my prasadam. So all of them were thinking Krishna is just near me and he's accepting my prasadam. In that way, all of them gave prasadam to Krishna, and they put their lunch on a stone, some on a leaves, and anyway, all of them were tasting all different kinds of prasadam. Then Bhagavatam describes his outstanding qualities of Krishna and friends as they were eating. So this is considered a very interesting verse from Bhagavatam, again describing the sweet pastime of Krishna, how Krishna is assembled and sitting down along with his Gopa friends. The Bhagavatam says, Bipradvenum jatarapatayo shringavetre chakakshe vame pano mrishana kavalam tatphalanyangulishu tishtan madhye swabari suhrdo hasayan narmabhisvaihi swarge loke mishati bhubuje yajnabhut balakeli. So he was telling Bibhrat Venum Jatarapatayo. So there is a beautiful description of Krishna that he tucked his flute on his waist. So you know how Krishna is being dressed. He has his dhoti, and along with this dhoti, he has his belt. He just tied that belt and he tucked his flute on his left side. Bibhrat Venum Jadhara Padayo, along with Shringa Vetre Chakakshe. And he had two more things. What are they? He has his Venu, his flute, and he had his horn, buffalo horn. Also, he had his cowherding stick. So since he is going to enjoy prasadam, he doesn't want these kind of things in his hand. He wants both his hands free, and he doesn't want to drop them here and there. Rather, he tucked them against his waist. His cowherding stick, his buffalo horn, and his flute. Then what is in his hand? Vame pano mrishana kavalam tat phalanyangulishu. Vame pano, on his left hand, he has mrishana kavalam. He had yogurt rice, curd rice. We all like to eat curd rice, right? If it's a hot day, yogurt rice or curd rice is very attractive. Similarly, Krishna in Vrindavan, he had curd rice. The rice mixed with curd. And tat phalanyangulishu, and he had different fruits. So the Acharya describes that he had different pickled fruits, like lemon pickle, gooseberry pickle, and whatever pickle we have, Krishna had all these pickles in Vrindavan. We like pickle, right? Sometimes we need a bite. If we have curd rice, then we need some pickle to add flavor to. Similarly, Krishna had everything in his hand, but all in his left hand. So it is particularly mentioned, Vame Pano Mrishana Kavalam. This is a very important point, and this is a point of, what can I say, a misunderstanding. So he had all his food in his left hand, which is completely non-Vedic. We don't usually carry prasadam in our left hand. That too with our raw hand. We usually take prasadam in our right hand. But Krishna had prasadam on his left hand. So it's mentioned, Vame Pano. Vama means left. Vame Pano Mrishana Kavalam. Tat Phalanyangulishu. And he had fruits in between the fingers. So these are pickle. Then Tishtan Madhye Sabari Suhrudo. And he was sitting along with all his friends. Hasayan Narmabhisoy, and they were cracking jokes. You know, when we are with our friends, we want to crack jokes. Similarly, Krishna was cracking jokes and sitting along with his friends and having his prasadam. And Sorge Loke Mishadi Babuje Yajna Bhuk Balakeli. And these demigods who are sitting in the heavenly planets, they were watching Krishna and his cowherd boys performing these pastimes. They were cracking jokes, and they know Krishna as Yajna Bhuk. 5th chapter, last verse says, Bhagavad Gita, Bhoktaram Tapasam Sarvalokam Maheshwaram. So the relationship of the Devas, the demigods, to Krishna is Yajna Bhuk. They know that Krishna accepts Naivedyam. They know Krishna accepts Bhoga. How? In the sacrificial fire, when the qualified Brahmanas, then they are offering ghee, the different grains and different other ingredients. They know that final beneficiary of everything is Krishna. Everything is going to Krishna. They know that. So they know Krishna as Yajna Bhuk. But now they are witnessing a pastime wherein they are saying Yajna Bhuk Balakeli. He's performing Balakeli. He's just acting just like a Bala, just like an ordinary boy. And Krishna is joking. Krishna is telling, then the bee comes to this cowherd boys. When this bee comes, they are asking, Krishna is telling the bee, if you want to drink something good, we have a Brahmana nearby us, sitting next to me. He's Madhumangal. You can go to Madhumangal, you can have a drink from his body, not from me. So in that way, he was just having fun. And Madhumangal is telling, no, this bee is going to kill me. In that way, they were simply having fun. And then Krishna started thinking, okay, this pastime is going very well. I'm having my forest lunch pastime, picnic pastime with my Gopa friends. But I need a disruption to this pastime for some amusement. So certainly the mother of enjoyment, as Prabhupada would say, is variety. Right? Every day, rice and dal, how long can you eat? Everyone wants a change, right? Ask for some extra. And if you are having our South Indian prasadam every day, then one day we'll say, okay, we need some pizza. So everyone is looking for some varieties of enjoyment. So Krishna, being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can enjoy as much as he wants, and his varieties are very far out. They are beyond our description or imagination. So certainly, Sarva Sankalpa Shakti, his Satya Sankalpa Shakti took charge. Krishna has multifarious energies. So one of his energies, when he sees, okay, I want some enjoyment, some amusement, I want some change, then Krishna's energy automatically acts. So Krishna thought, okay, we will have some change to this pastime today because this is their daily routine. before lunch, as Prabhupada says, Krishna kills a few demons, 2 or 3 demons he kills, asuras, not a big deal. Then they sit together and have lunch. This is the daily pastime of Krishna. So today, Krishna wanted a change. So all the cowherd boys and Krishna, they noticed that the cows have gone deeper into the forest. They are not in the vicinity. They are not in the grass range which they were thinking they would be. Rather, they have gone deep into the forest. And all the cowherd boys, they became a bit panic. They started thinking, what's happening? Where are our cows? So Krishna said, don't worry, I will take care. You just relax. You all just simply have prasadam. I will go, I will bring all the cows. So Krishna got up from there, and his friends having their lunch, Krishna just walked off. He started looking here and there. Where are these cows? So Krishna also just started wandering, leaving his Gopa friends. And now cows are somewhere, Krishna is somewhere else, and the Gopa friends, they are having their lunch on the banks of Yamuna. This is the time there is a sudden twist to the entire pastime. In the previous verse I mentioned, the demigods were observing from higher planets this pastime of Krishna's. They were very curious what's really going on, because Yajna Bhuk Balageli, they have seen the Lord only as Yajna Bhuk, never as a Bala, never as just a boy. So among the demigods, the chief among them, Lord Brahma, he started thinking. So this is the place Lord Brahma got bewildered. So now our description is Brahma's bewilderment. Brahma started looking at Krishna, and he's having his food in his left hand, maybe eating with his right hand. He's sharing lunch with all the cowherd boys, and he's simply a cowherd boy. And now he's just gone to look for the cows. Seeing this, Lord Brahma started thinking, let me try to test this Krishna, whether he is the real Lord or not. So he started thinking, this is the first bewilderment. If I steal these boys and cows, will Krishna show some power or some wonderful pastimes? So first bewilderment, this is part of the first bewilderment of Brahma. He started thinking, whether Krishna will he demonstrate any other power, or will he show some pastime if I steal these cows and the cowherd boys? And apart from that, he started thinking, will he ever find where these hidden calves and cowherd boys are? Or whether will he come to me and pray to release these calves and cows? Or will he not able to understand anything at all? So this is the first bewilderment of Brahma. He started thinking whether Krishna is going to show any power or pastimes, whether Krishna will be able to find the cows and the cowherd boys if I steal them, or will he come to me and pray, or finally will he ever able to even understand if I take away Krishna's friends and cows? Think about it. This is the first bewilderment of Lord Brahma. There's 4 aspects to it, but now Brahma is getting bewildered. Second bewilderment, Brahma comes down because, as I told you earlier, Krishna is in one place, cows are in another place, deep in the forest, and cowherd boys on the bank of Yamuna. Brahma comes and apparently he steals the cowherd boys and the cows. So it is mentioned here, Brahma is addressed as Ambho Janma Jani. Brahma is addressed as Ambho Janmajani because Brahma is born from Ambhoja or from the lotus flower. So his birth is considered not spiritual. His body is considered material. So that's why it's mentioned Ambho Janmajani. He has a material birth and he has a material body. So he is also subjected to bewilderment. So whoever has got a material body generally is subjected to bewilderment, and so is Brahma. That's why he had the first two kinds of bewilderment. One, he thought about the power of Krishna, and then he started stealing the cows and the cowherd boys. So it is mentioned, he stole the cows and the cowherd boys, and then he entered the third bewilderment. What was the third bewilderment? Krishna, he is a supreme personality of Godhead. He knows what's happening. Still, what was Krishna doing? He was still wandering in the forest looking for his friends and the cows. Can you imagine? Krishna is all-knowing. He knew exactly what happened. And he knew before Brahma did this act, still, he was just looking for the cows, just like an innocent boy. So then what happened? This further bewildered Brahma. Brahma started thinking, look at Krishna. He's a young, innocent boy. I have stolen his cows and the cowherd boys. And now he's just looking here and there. But it was simply an addition to the bewilderment of Brahmaji. So he simply acted as a cowherd boy looking for his cows and cowherd boyfriends. Then, as we know, Krishna expanded himself to all the cows and all the cowherd boys. So this is the fourth bewilderment of Brahma. First, he wanted to test Krishna. Second, he stole them. Third, he even got bewildered seeing Krishna searching for cows after his thievery. And fourth, what happened? Krishna expanded himself as the cows and the cowherd boys. So that will be his final, the epitome of his bewilderment, which he was completely amazed and he couldn't even recognize. Now, the Acharya Vishwanath Thakur especially mentioned why Krishna expanded himself as the cows and the cowherd boys. He gives 4 reasons why Krishna expanded in this way. 1, he wanted to show the power of illusion to everyone, including Krishna's first expansion, Lord Balaram. So first he wanted to show his power to everyone, the whole universe, and even the spiritual world, including his own primary expansion, who is Lord Balaram. Second, all the gopas, all the gopis, and even the cows, they all had the deepest desire to Krishna, to have Krishna as their child. It's mentioned, even though the cows, they have their calves, the elderly gopas and gopis, they have their children, but love for Krishna was superior than love for their own children or their own cows. So this is Vrindavan. So this really shows what is true love for Krishna. Having their own children, but love for Krishna was even superior to love for their own children. So since they had this deepest desire to have Krishna as their child, Krishna wanted to fulfill those desires. 3, he wanted to bewilder Brahma. And 4, Krishna wanted to show his opulence in the form of multifarious Vishnu forms to Lord Brahma. So in that way, he wanted to show his mercy to Lord Brahma and get him out from his false prestige. So in that way, the Lord decided to expand himself as the calves and the cowherd boys. But it is mentioned that when Krishna expanded as the cows and the cowherd boys, it was exactly the same Gopas and the cows. There was no difference. The each and every hands, legs, other limbs, the stick, bugle, flute, lunch packs, how they behaved, their mentality, everything exactly the same. So London, if you go to the museum, what was that, madam? Forgot the name. You go to the museum, you can see the replica. If you have been, you might have gone to this museum, wax museum. You can see the replica of our world leaders. But Krishna is the Supreme Lord. So if you want to replace someone, it's not a problem for him. So he did that. It's mentioned, Samagra Jagat Vishnumayam. So the Lord Vishnu is all pervading. In that way, the Lord showed himself as cows and the cowherd boys. In that way, what he can do, he can reciprocate in the most intimate fashion to all the cows as well as all the mothers. So it is mentioned, Krishna. So the whole incident is taking place in Vrindavan, in the forest, the bank of Yamuna. And as usual, they all returned home. They all went to Nanda's house and respective houses. And the cows went to the cow shed. So in the evening, after the grazing, after their pastime, they came back to Vrindavan as usual. You know, Godhuli, right? You might have heard about Godhuli, the particular time in Vrindavan, afternoon. That time is Godhuli. It's mentioned when Krishna and the calves and the cows, when they returned from the forest, from distance, the devotees can see the dhuli, the dust rising in the sky. So when they see that, they know Krishna is coming. So that is Godhuli. So in the same fashion, now there are no cows, there are no cowherd boys. It's only Sarvam Vishnumayam. It's only Krishna alone. But he has expanded himself as all these devotees and cows. And all of them came home. And in the cowshed, the mother cow is in ecstasy seeing their child, calf. They are profusely giving them milk. They're licking them continuously. And the mothers, seeing their children, they became even more ecstatic than ever before. They came, they started giving them milk, they started giving them a bath, decorating them, applying sandalwood pulp, chanting protective mantras, decorating their bodies, applying tilak, giving them food. In that way, the mothers were serving each and every gopa with ecstasy, with ecstatic love, which they had never experienced before to their children. So both the mothers, they became ecstatic. The cows, mother cows, they became ecstatic because they have never experienced such ecstatic symptoms, because that symptoms are demonstrated in connection directly to Krishna. But now they got that opportunity to reciprocate with Krishna in the same fashion. So it is mentioned, the affection of the elderly woman, it was exceeding day by day, because now their sons were Krishna. And not only that, the affection of the Brajavasis increased day by day for one complete year. Think about this. So this pastime took place. Now the days are passing and the love for the Brajavasis are increasing day by day. So this pastime continued almost for 1 year. So think about this. Now is another turn to the pastime. So first we saw the picnic, the bewilderment of Brahma, and then the sweet reciprocation of Krishna in different forms to elderly gopis and the cows. And now there is the next twist to the pastime. So it was only 5 or 6 days before completion of 1 year. After, apparently, Brahma had stolen the cows and the cowherd boys. Again, please understand, Brahma couldn't really steal the cows or the cowherd boys. So it is mentioned what he could steal was Maya Bhaga. Arbhaga means children or balas or gopas. They are Maya Arbhaga. So Krishna created a Maya form of the cows and the cowherd boys for Brahmas to steal. Because who can touch Krishna's associates? Has the Brahma got the ability to touch Krishna's associates, the gopas or the cows or the calves? Impossible. So Brahma could only steal Maya Bhagas. And the real cows, calves, cowherd boys, etc., they were under the control of Yogamaya, Krishna's energy. So now, just 5 or 6 days before 1 year, Krishna and Balaram were standing at the foothill of Govardhan. So you had to imagine, now if you go to Govardhan, it's not that tall. But that time, the Govardhan was very tall because according to one curse, the Govardhan's height is reducing. So now the height is not that much. Even Vrajavasis, they say, some of the old people say, when their childhood, the shadow of Govardhan used to go further than what it is now. So that time Govardhan was big and they were at the foothill of Govardhan. And one day Balaram started looking on top of Govardhan. He could see that all these cows, they were grazing on top of Govardhan. And when these cows, when they saw the cows playing at the foothill of Govardhan, they simply started running in haste towards the foothill of Govardhan. So they didn't look left, right, center. They were just running from the top of Govardhan all the way down. And they came up to their cows and then they started feeding milk with increased affection. The same time, the cowherd men who were also on top of Govardhan, they were trying to control their cows, but they couldn't control. Even though it was a difficult patch of land to cover, the cows easily ran. And the cowherd boys, cowherd men, they became a bit angry because they couldn't control the cows. Still, they managed to come downhill to tend the cows. So they saw that these cows were completely captured by their cows. The milk was profusely flowing from the udders. But these cowherd men were angry. Suddenly, these cowherd men, they saw their own children, their own sons, Gopa boys. When they saw that, immediately they forgot everything. They ran up to their son, they embraced, they started kissing, and the tears of love started flowing from their eyes. And they completely forgot everything about the calves and the cows, and the anger completely went away. So seeing this loving exchange, Balaram was a bit surprised. He noticed that these cows, they are feeding their older calves now, and there is a young calf that is being born, but they're reluctant to feed their younger calves, but they are feeding this older calf. Seeing this, Lord Balaram started thinking, what is really going on in Vrindavan? Because it is very unusual for cows to neglect their younger calves for their older calves. So we know the reason. Why? Because the older calf is Krishna himself. And the cowherd boys are cowherd men are completely enamored by their children because they are Krishna himself. So here is the next twist in the pastime. So just 5 or 6 days before 1 year, Balaram started detecting some problems that's taking place in Vrindavan. So it is mentioned that uh, Balaram gets to know what's happening. So he was also covered by Krishna's energy Yogamaya. All the cows, cowherd boys, they were all covered by Yogamaya potency of Krishna. And now even Balaram was also covered by Yogamaya potency. So it's mentioned this Yogamaya curtain started falling step by step. It was not all of a sudden. So it's mentioned the first relaxation of Yogamaya was when Balaram started thinking about what's really going on in Vrindavan. Why these cows are so attached to their calves. Why this cowhead men and women are so attached to their children. What's really going on? So that is the first step where Balaram started thinking about it. Second step of removal of Yogamaya for Balaram, he invoked his Shakti of omniscience, and then he started reasoning what's really going on. So when he started reason, are they some asuras or suras? Are they great sages? What's really going on? So in that way, as the second part of Yogamaya was removed, he was able to analyze the situation. And third, when the third stage of Yogamaya was removed, he understood this is because of Krishna's Yogamaya. So in the first step, he detected the problem. So far, he couldn't even detect the problem. So first, when Yogamaya was removed, first step, he could detect the problem. Second step, he was able to reason. Third step, he concluded that this is Krishna's Yogamaya. And in the fourth portion, he was able to, by Krishna's mercy, he inquired from Krishna, and Krishna actually showed that these cows and cowherd boys are none other than Krishna himself. They are expansions of Krishna. In that way, Balaram understood and he inquired Krishna, and Krishna also explained why the whole thing happened. So now one question comes. Why didn't Balaram got picked up by or stolen by Brahma? Isn't it an interesting point? Because 1 year before, all the cowherd boys and Krishna were there on the bank of Yamuna. Then why not Balaram? Any answer? What do you think? Why Balaram was not stolen by Krishna?
It
But
was
by
his birthday.
Brahma?
It was his
Sorry?
birthday that day. It was his birthday.
Exactly. So it was his birthday. So that's why it is mentioned the whole incident now took place 5 or 6 days before 1 year. So now again Balaram Purnima is coming. Okay? So again Balaram Purnima is coming. So Balaram understood the situation, and after 1 year of our calculation, earthly calculation, or for Lord Brahma, just a flick of a second, he returned and he wanted to see what's really happening. So now you can see again Balaram is absent because of Balaram Purnima. So only Krishna and all other cowherd boys are there. But now actually there are no cowherd boys or cows. They are all Krishna. So they are all performing the same pastimes as 1 year before. They are having their lunchtime picnic. The cows are grazing in the forest, having tender grass. They are drinking water from Yamuna. And they are cracking jokes. They are having a good time. And then Brahma came and had a look. And he was wondered, I thought I have my cows and cowherd boys. Who are they? He started thinking. He was completely bewildered. And Brahma is the most intelligent person in this universe. His body is made of intelligence. He's the secondary creator. He's the engineer of this universe. So he started thinking, just like with a proper investigative mind, Lord Brahma started thinking. He started thinking, which is the real group? The one I have stolen and I know where I have kept them. Is that the real group of cows and the cowherd boys? Or what I am seeing in front of me, which is the real one? Then he started thinking, is there anything actually created by Krishna? Is it my creation or is it a Krishna's creation? And he started thinking in this way. He was completely confused and he couldn't distinguish between these two sets of calves and cowherd boys. Actually, there are three sets because we had to worry about the original calves and the cowherd boys as well. Because what Brahma told was Mayarbhakas, and what Krishna has is his own expansion. And there's a third set, which is under the potency of Yogamaya, under the control of Krishna. But the third set, Lord Brahma doesn't know. So he was looking at these two and he was completely bewildered and he couldn't ascertain what's going on. He started deeply thinking, but he couldn't understand, even though he has so much of intelligence. So it is mentioned, Evam sammohanam Vishnu mohanam Vishwa mohanam Swasveva maya jopi soyam eva vimohitaha. Brahma wanted to bewilder Vimohanam. He wanted to bewilder Krishna. He wanted to mystify Krishna. But what's the nature of Krishna? He is Vishwamohanam. He can bewilder the entire universe. So he wanted to bewilder Krishna, who is bewildering the entire universe, including himself. So try to see that Brahma wanted to bewilder Krishna, where all this time Brahma is being bewildered by Krishna. So it's mentioned, Soyam eva vimohitaha. So even though he tried to bewilder Krishna by his mystic potency, he couldn't. Rather, he himself got bewildered. So this is the nature of the Supreme Lord. If we try to overcome Krishna, it can be by material scientists, it can be by our own prowess. If we think we can be better than Krishna, for Krishna it is very easy. If you want to cheat Krishna, Krishna becomes a bigger cheater. So that's the nature of Krishna. Who can go beyond Krishna? So it's mentioned, Brahma became just like a glowworm in presence of sunlight. The glowworm, at night, a glowworm has a lot of power. We can see it's very attractive. Similarly, Brahma wanted to demonstrate his mystical power, but that became just like the shining of a glowworm in front of hot sun. So Brahma couldn't do anything and he was completely bewildered. Then Krishna started showing his mercy. So indeed, he showed what's really going on in front of Lord Brahma. There is a description of Vishnu Murtis which are emanating from Krishna's body. So he could see there are no cows, there are no cowherd boys, they are all four-armed Vishnu forms who are acting like the cowherd boys. Rather, he could just see simply the four-handed forms of Krishna. They are decorated with beautiful ornaments. They have Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. Their whole body is decorated with Tulsi garlands made of devotees. And the Lord was smiling, protecting the desires of his intimate devotees. All living and non-living entities were worshipping the Supreme Lord. All mystic opulences, starting from Manima, Lakhima, Mahima, etc., and all the material elements in the personified form were worshipping the Lord. So it was completely bewildering for Lord Brahma. Even Lord's Kala potency, his Swabhava, Karma, Gunas, everything in the personified form were worshipping the Lord. Then he saw that the cows, everyone as Krishna's expansion. And he was completely stunned in ecstasy, transcendental bliss. So this is the ultimate result, because Lord Brahma got some mercy of Krishna. So because of that, Lord Brahma could see this Vishnamurti, he could see the transcendental forms of Krishna manifesting. And when he saw this transcendental form, then he could understand the greatness of Krishna. See, as I mentioned earlier, when one knows only the sweetness of Krishna, one cannot really appreciate the sweetness of Krishna. They think it's just ordinary. It is nothing great about it. But now, since he witnessed the glories of Krishna, then he started seeing this is not at all ordinary. Who is this personality? Certainly, he is my Lord. He started accepting. So now the Lord has shown mercy unto him, so that Brahma is coming to his senses. All his false prestige was dissipated by the mystic power of Krishna. It is like, it's mentioned, if a small person try to show his prowess in front of a bigger person, then he will be bewildered. That's what happened to Brahma, because Krishna showed his own opulence. We can see even Srila Prabhupada's pastime. Some devotees, some of his god brothers, many people, they were envious, and some of the people tried to do some impediments to preaching. But what happened? Srila Prabhupada demonstrated his spiritual potency and he continued preaching. So no other impediments actually could do anything to Srila Prabhupada. So it is mentioned that for devotees, if we are fixed in service of Krishna, as it is given by our Guru, then what happens? If you are really fixed in that, then the other impediments will go away. It's just a matter of time. There will be test, but by the mercy of the Lord, this impediment will go away, because Krishna is the most opulent, is the most powerful. So here, Brahma was trying to test Krishna and he couldn't. Rather, he was rather exposed of his inferior nature in comparison to the Supreme Lord. So he could see all the Vishnu Murtis and he could see the cows as Krishna's expansion. And he was in complete ecstasy. So this is spiritual ecstasy indeed, because he is getting the vision of the Lord. So this is the mercy of the Lord, certainly. And it's a very important point to understand. The Maya that bewildered Lord Brahma is not Mahamaya. Rather, it is Yoga Maya. It is mentioned that Mahamaya is when we think the Lord, when we cannot really see any reality, that is Mahamaya. So, for example, the Mahamaya covers the reality and displays something else. That is Mahamaya. But Yogamaya means the truth is shown sometimes and truth is not shown sometimes by the arrangement of the Lord. So that is Yogamaya. So here, he was completely under the control of Yogamaya for the pastime sake. Still, it is considered a grave mistake because he wanted to test Krishna. But as an Acharya, he is setting the standard, and Brahma came to the external consciousness. Now he was back in Vrindavan. He could see the actual pasturing ground. He could see cowherd boys. He could see Krishna as just a young boy. He could see all the Gopals. He could see all the calves and the cows. His eyes were filled with tears. He was thinking, what's really happening? Now he doesn't have the misunderstanding. Now he could appreciate the sweetness of Krishna because he accepted the greatness of Krishna. That's why in the early days, Srila Prabhupada was producing his Bhagavatam. Some devotees filled the initial cantos, up till 9 cantos, many cantos, the paintings, the artworks were filled with Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes, and especially with gopis. And Prabhupada was furious. Prabhupada asked, who made my book like this? Who did this? He was furious. He asked to remove all these paintings. He said, I want to show the world how Krishna controls, not how he enjoys. That is sweetness. So first we had to understand how Krishna controls. And that's why there is creation. That's why there are all other aspects, his expansion and his greatness presented in Bhagavatam. So for devotees, we need to understand how Krishna controls and then understand how Krishna enjoys. So now Brahma was able to appreciate the sweetness of Vrindavan, where there is no envy whatsoever. Even there is no envy among animals. Everyone is centered around Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada, in one of the wonderful purports, he says, one can gradually develop this non-envious consciousness by sadhana bhakti. So it's a gradual development to come up to the position where we are non-envious, because now we are envious. We may say, I'm not envious of Krishna, but if we are envious of anything in this creation, then we are envious of Krishna. Because if we are envious of another devotee, I think even we are envious of a simple person, then how much envy do we have unto Krishna? So that nature is there. Then Brahma saw Krishna with a bit of a curd rice, going to eat prasadam. So again, he saw the original thing that he had seen before. So he approached Krishna now without any false prestige, in complete spiritual ecstasy. His eyes were filled with tears. He came down from his swan carrier, Hamsavahan. He came down. Generally, demigods don't touch the ground. That is the standard of demigods. They don't touch the ground. But now, this is Vrindavan. This is in front of Krishna. So, with complete humility, he came down from the Hamsavahan and he started paying repeated obeisances. His 4 helmets on his head started colliding the ground again and again and again. So it's mentioned it was just like a golden rod touching the floor, because Brahma's color is golden, and now he was literally experiencing the spiritual bliss. Repentant, eyes full of tears, and he paid obeisances again and again and again. And after that, he starts his prayer for forgiveness. So this is Lord Brahma after realizing his mistake. Now, there's an interesting point. We can see that Lord Brahma committing this mistake, and eventually we can see Lord Indra trying to kill the entire Vrindavan by the torrential rain from the Samvartaka cloud. But whose mistake is the gravest, most grave mistake? Whose is that?
Brahma.
Any idea? Why?
Brahma's, because Brahma was trying to keep away the Vrajavasis away from Krishna.
Okay, good. So why it's considered the greatest mistake?
Indra is, but everyone suffer for our other friends, everybody, but Govardhana, Krishna, it took the Govardhana, everybody together in the affection of more affect the Krishna in the prayer. Everybody like that together. That's why Indra
Okay.
had.
In Brahma's pastime also, there was a Brahma Vimohana Lila. We could also learn lessons from Brahma's pastime, but why it is considered most grave mistake? So it is because Indra was being a bit foolish. They are eternal residents of Vrindavan, and Krishna is the Supreme Lord. And what's the question of killing Krishna and the Brajavasis? So it was considered just foolish. But as you pointed out, the Lord can never be separated from his devotees. And Brahma wanted to do that. So it is considered a grave mistake, because Krishna is always with his friends. And after this, the most amazing chapter of Brahma's prayers start, asking for forgiveness. So in essence, this pastime had few aspects, right? Initially, we discussed about the qualification of Maharaj Parikshit. Nityam Navanavyavat, his qualification. Always he's hearing Krishna's pastime as newer and newer. He developed this quality by being a submissive disciple of his spiritual master. Second, we saw Krishna beginning this pastime by inviting cowherd boys and cows on the bank of Yamuna and their picnic lunch pastime. Second, the cows missing and Krishna going to search for them. So there is an interruption to the sweet pastime, and then the Brahma comes and he tries to steal them. Then we can see the bewilderment of Brahma, and later, after 1 year, the bewilderment of even Balaram, and how this Yogamaya curtain was unveiled in 4 steps. And finally, Brahma again came to check on Krishna and the cowherd boys, and he was completely bewildered. And then Yogamaya was removed, and then he could understand the reality of the situation. In that way, Brahma's false prestige went away, and he started offering prayers unto Krishna after paying repeated obeisances as dandavats. Okay, so I conclude here, and any questions or any comments?
Hare Krishna devotees, any questions? Can you put it or you can ask?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Gopindas Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. It's always pleasure to hear you.
Hare Krishna. Happy to see you.
Very, very wonderful class, Prabhu. Very nicely explained also. Prabhuji, Brahma, obviously he was on a very big position and post. And generally what happens that when we come to bhakti, we have heard that we are in the mood of dasanudas. And then slowly, we, at least externally, when a person is spending some time in Krishna consciousness, he thinks I'm only, dasanudas. And as you rightly said that Prabhupada said the most important part in our name is das. All other thing is fine. So we understand that we are das when somebody gets diksha. But again, as the time progresses, everyone calls us Prabhu, and we think that, oh, we are Prabhu. And then ultimately, sometimes we try to become Mahaprabhu, take some position. And so the whole purpose for what we come to Krishna consciousness gets defeated. And in the sense that, so how a devotee should always be in that mood of das, dasanu, das in actuality, not only by lip service, and meaning, behave in such a way that he can always remember that for what purpose I came to Krishna consciousness, and how I can always remember das, dasanu, das, and understand this purport of das, Prabhu.
It's a very good question. It's a very practical question. The reason is when we come to Krishna consciousness, we see all other devotees as effulgent, pure devotees. But just wait. What do we see? We start seeing faults. Oh, they are not pure devotees. They have this problem, that problem. I also have this problem. So we are all equal, or maybe I am better. This is how we degrade our consciousness. So now, you asked, how can we always think that we are dasanudas? Now, I will give you a solution which is to the root. But it's not very easy. It's a solution, but it's not very easy. If we want humility, just think, just try to understand how good or bad we are chanting our rounds. Our aim of chanting, at least come to the point, the aim of our chanting is to attentively listen this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Whether we listen or not, we are going to take around 2 hours anyway. So each and every mantra we have to listen. This is, if you want to make advancement, this is kind of beginning of bhakti, I can say. If you want to come to even a nishtha bhajana kriya, steady bhajana kriya, the first step is we can hear all 16 rounds, all the mantras. Okay, this is the beginning. Isn't it? Just to reach Nishtha, this is the standard I'm telling. Okay, not talking about the bhava, prema, or ruchi, asakti. Not there. To come to Nishtha Bhajana Kriya, so currently our Bhajana Kriya is Anishta Bhajana Kriya, unfortunately. Where one day we have taste for chanting, one day no. One day we feel like we are Paramahamsa. Next day we understand we are worm in wherever, So we are in a stage up and down. So please, we should meditate. We should think, am I able to listen all 16 rounds, all the mantras? Are we able to at least control the mind simply to listen all 16 rounds? That itself is very humbling. So that's why I'm trying to say, we cannot address this issue based on circumstances, situations, and events and people. We had to approach the core of the issue. So that's why it is mentioned in Sikshastakam when we say the step before Trinada Bisinichena Taroriva Sahishnana. There it is. Etadrishi tava kripa bhagavan mamabi durdevam idirsham ihajani na niraga. So this is the stage of anartha, and we want anartha nivritti. We want nivritti from anarthas, and then we cultivate this quality that trinadapi sunichena taror iva sahishnana. So that is actually the quality of Nishtha Bhakti. So if we want to advance in our Krishna consciousness, when it just simply talking from the point of chanting, if we can be very serious about our chanting and understand the reality of our consciousness based on our own chanting, that will be a very good step. It will be very reflective. It will be very rewarding, because then we don't imagine ourselves to be great devotees, because we are seeing our own limitations. That can be a good starting point as the answer to your question. What do you think, Rasamada Prabhu? You may have a lot of realization.
No, Prabhuji, I really don't have realizations, but actually you have addressed the root of the problem, and I think it's 100% right, Prabhuji. If one's japa is not proper, then nothing is proper. Meaning, so if our chanting falls in place, then everything else falls in place. So this is the root cause of the problem, and I think we are all struggling to chant our japa nicely, and maybe that's actually a great tall order. And I heard actually in one of the class, Prabhuji, just to add on, where a devotee told that by practice, one can perfect many things. So by practice you can become a good singer, by practice you can become a good cook, by practice you can become a good manager, by practice you can become a good leader, or whatever it is. But he said that there is one activity which you might not get perfection into, and that's chanting. So
Yes.
you may practice, but you may not get perfection. So to get the perfection, obviously you need the mercy of the Lord, and the humility of your heart. So this is very, very important. And I'm sure, Prabhu, there can be no better answer than this, that all the problem arises because of our bad chanting. And if the chanting is good, then everything falls in place, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other questions, devotees?
Sir, regarding the solution which you told, hearing each and every mantra and chanting 16 rounds, we are trying, but what is the solution that we don't go out of track? Because sometimes we keep on chanting, we listen first round, second round, third round. In the first 108 mala itself, first 2-3 rounds we are concentrating, then it goes out of track. Then we are trying to pulling it back and coming and we are doing it again. But it is not even possible to concentrate even one single round of 108. So how it can be done, Prabhuji? Your suggestions on this thing.
The Krishna suggestion two suggestions are there Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita 6th chapter. Abhyasena and Vairagyana. That are the two points Krishna says. The practice. So practice means we try to chant, and detachment means detachment from other thoughts to bring the mind back to the holy name. So this is a detailed topic. If you ask for the chanting, that's a detailed topic. So I cannot get into the full-fledged answer to this. There are many things to consider, but one point I can say, don't think that, okay, I'm going to listen all 16 rounds. Today, I'm going to listen all 16 rounds, all mantras. So try to listen one mantra at a time. I hear this from Bhurijan Prabhu, His Grace Bhurijan Prabhu all the time. Very important point. Think that, okay, I'm going to listen the mantra I'm chanting now. That will help you. So don't plan for the whole mala first. Okay, the mantra I am chanting now, let me listen that.
Okay, Guruji. Thanks, Prabhu. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Any other questions, Hare Krishna? Or if nothing, we'll conclude. So I request Nitai Nadesha Prabhu to please give vote of thanks to Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
My
Krishna.
humble obeisances unto your lotus feet, Prabhuji. First of all, very, very thank you for giving this wonderful class. Krishna's pastimes are always sweet, and you made them sweeter for us. The way you presented it very nicely with all the details. I took some takeaways from very important points for all the devotees, and especially I'm pondering on them. One is we have to first witness the glories of Lord Krishna. Then we can actually understand the sweetness of the Lord. So that was one point I liked much. And then the mercy with the Lord, Brahma came to his senses to the mercy of the Lord. And then the devotees, they have to be fixed in a service ordered by the Guru, and then impediments will go away. So there are many impediments. So if a devotee is fixed in his service, then his impediments will also go away. And then for devotees, first we need to know how Krishna controls, and then how he enjoys. So many times we get into the sweeter melodious pastimes of the Lord, these leelas in Vrajabhumi, but then we do forget about the Lord's greatness and his glories, so that we develop that. And another important point was on his on the enviousness we carry, so which you very nicely explained, that envious consciousness gradually goes away by sadhana bhakti, which again, another point which I had was, which Rasamrit Prabhu also asked a very wonderful question, that we think about ourselves as Prabhu and then a little bit Mahaprabhu, so that is another area where you addressed at the root, that is coming to. And sadhana bhakti also, our main aim is to chant very good rounds. So thank you so much, Prabhu, for giving your association to us. We're looking forward to more and more such association of yours. And we thank our Siddhagoram Prabhu and Bahurup Prabhu who gave me this opportunity, and also for arranging this wonderful class, and Satkirti Prabhu for coordinating this whole program, arranging, getting devotees for the service, and then maintaining the whole class. So thank you so much once again, Gopavindeshwar Prabhu, for your association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Siddhagaranga Prabhu. Thank you very much, Bharuva Prabhu. I think I saw in the beginning.
Yes, he's there.
Is there?
Baru
Krishna
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I am in the background.
Yes, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Happy to see you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So see you again and again.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Lockdown is till 28th of this month, Prabhuji, there in Melbourne.
Till 28th lockdown, then it's going to ease a bit, but it's not going to stop because they are really taking some careful steps. The cases have gone down significantly.
Okay.
So yeah, it will be eased, but not stopped immediately. So but now it's pretty much gearing up, so it should be all right. And we are also planning about marathon now, because November we usually start marathon, so we are thinking about it, how to do it and everything. So yeah.
The temple is open, or?
No, temple is not open, and it's going to take time for the temple to open. I don't think for another month at least temple will not be open.
Okay.
Yeah. How is the situation there?
It's also somewhat controlled here, Prabhuji. There's no much, but still not very open. People taking precautions.
Maybe this status quo will continue for another 6 months.
Yeah,
Not 1 month.
Let's see.
Prabhuji, how is your mother, Prabhu? She is here attending
Yeah,
today?
she didn't know. I don't think I didn't see her. I sent her the link, but I don't think she attended today.
She is fine.
So they are doing good. Father, mother, they're back in Kerala and in Trivandrum now. They're doing all right, chanting and going on. So let's see.
Okay, Prabhuji. So thanks a lot. Once again,
Hare Krishna. See you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So, devotees, any other